Hey guys, welcome to another BMS video for the Wolfpack, and in this video it's going to be the first of a series of tutorials. This is just the basic ramp start. The first thing you want to do is go ahead and throw the battery on, and that'll give you electrical power to the systems. Obviously you need fuel flow, so we'll go to norm and set this switch to UFC so that you can control everything on your upfront controller. Then you just go start 2. I'll go ahead and close the canopy just for noise sake. Okay, so once that starter starts engaging, it'll keep the engine RPM about 20, and then you have to introduce fuel to the engine. The way you do that is you cycle the throttle and go about halfway, and then hit this hook here, which will introduce fuel into the engine, and you'll get these FCLS lights that'll go off. Once you do that, it'll kind of hover around 25%. If it gets stuck there, just go ahead and cycle the throttle, and once it crawls above 25, you know that the engine is accelerating, and it is, it's burning up that fuel that you introduced into the engine. So now at 60%. And at 70% the engine will be stable at idle. Okay, so the way you can test that is just increase throttle, and if you get a response, you know that you got a good start. Okay, then we go to main power, and immediately I go over to this back right corner, and you can power up your stations, your MFDs, your upfront controller, GPS, and your data link. And then here where it says line, this is where we start aligning our INS system. You go over to normal using that switch. Next thing, moving down the line, go air source to normal. Can't really see it here. And then we'll go ahead and turn on our power sensors, including left and right hard points, our fire control radar, as well as our radar altimeter. I like to turn this on the dead data. That just gets whatever is on here on your HUD. This switch here will turn on your HUD. And just moving on towards the left, you'll see a parking brake switch. You want to turn that on. And you don't have to do it for this flight because obviously, we're not going to be fighting any aircraft, but get in the habit of turning on your countermeasures. And this powers your chaff and flare. I usually go standby here and then power this on. I always like to turn on the helmet-mounted cueing system on, and that's what gives you the airspeed and altitude and targeting information on your helmet. And then just DMS down will make that go away. So that way, if you're flying around, all of a sudden you need the information, DMS down. Just hold that for a couple seconds, and you can always bring that up. Power on the jammer and the radar warning receiver. This power switch here is your threat warning system, and that's what gives you missile launch tones and all that. You won't hear anything, however, if you don't increase the threat volume, which is here. And this missile volume is for your sidewinders and any other weapon tones that you might hear. Radio set to both, and then you want to make sure your volume is up. This is for the UHF radio, which you use to talk to tower as well as forward air controllers, and VHF COM2, which we use to talk to inter-flight communications, including wingman and other flights in your package. So we'll go COM1. I have the tower set at 15, and you have to do that in order to take the chocks off, which we'll do in a second here. If you go list 6, you'll see the INS system, and I'll go ahead and speed this up, and I'll see you when we're all online. Alright, so one important note that I forgot in our start, I typically throw on the anti-collision on and the master light switch on. This is standard operating procedure for the Wolfpack. It might be different with different squadrons, but that's the only one we use, is that that white flashing beacon on the tail there. Other squadrons might do it differently, but the position lights, which are the nav lights on the wings, we only use those in nighttime and in bad weather conditions. If you're a mile away from an aircraft, you can't see the lights anyways during the day, and I don't think even at night, so it doesn't really help. And that's pretty much what real aircraft do. There's really no reason to turn on nav lights if you don't need it. You just just kind of lowering the lifespan of it. So once we get aligned, we'll go ahead and go to from norm. You just go to nav, and it will load up your waypoints, and you are good to go. The only last thing is I need to arm the seat here, and I typically do that right before taxi. And call up tower and 8 and ask them to remove the chocks, and they'll do that. And park and brake off. We're ready to taxi. Nose wheel steering on typically as I start the taxi, and you are ready to go. Next video will just be a basic takeoff tutorial. See you guys then.